Okay, so hi everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are going to talk about something juicy this episode.
Indeed.
You want to tell the people the topic for today?
The topic for today, people. How you doing? This is Astro Soul. You know what I mean? By the way, 95 to infinity. Thanks for being aboard right now. The topic of the day is celibacy, versus promiscuity, something like that. But it just means, casually having sex. You know what I mean? So that's the topic for the day.
Yes. So promiscuity and celibacy. Okay. So I'm trying to think.
Okay, I feel like starting off, just going with the celibacy. If you want to go back to the doctrine of what celibacy is to never have sex or to have sex, but don't have sex for a long time. You know what I mean? We can easily look it up and see what the definition of it is. I feel like that's a little wet.
We could, yeah.
Okay. That's what we're gonna do right now, people. So we're not just
look up the literal definition of celibacy.
Yeah. So y'all can.
So we can get some context going.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, let's talk a little bit about celibacy, because it's this term that we kind of throw out. Okay, he's got it.
Celibacy, the state of abstaining from marriage and sexual relations. So that's saying ain't no marriage, you're not getting married, and you're not having sex. So it's just like you just being around your people and yourself. Just ain't nothing sexual about it. You just basically just living, doing your thing. No sexual, no oral, ain't nothing. Excuse language, but yeah. So now, practice, how you say it? Yeah, correct me.
It is like the weirdest word ever, right? Yeah, just having too much sex.
Okay.
We don't gotta.
Okay, cool. So yeah, versus having none, and having some.
Having none, and it's the extreme, because on the show we talk about the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be going to one extreme, having absolutely no sexual activity going on whatsoever, just solely focused on yourself and your personal spirituality. And then the other extreme, indulging too much into exploring sexual things with other people, because like at the root of it all is really sexual energy, and the celibacy is keeping that sexual energy for yourself and finding ways to create through it.
True.
And then promiscuity, or having too much sex, would be depending too much on other people to share that sexual energy with, rather than keeping it for yourself. Like you're just giving it to everybody.
True.
So it's the outward expression of it, and then celibacy is the inward expression.
Well put, and I do agree. And I feel like we all can learn to. If you're gonna be celibate, that's what you choose to do. You know what I mean, and be proud of it. It's not saying that's wrong with it. You just want to kind of be to yourself right now. And if you do just happen to, people always, I feel like, get caught up in the thing of, I'm going to be celibate for a week, 2 years. You already put some type of either a goal or a dictation to yourself. And then once you feel like you do that to yourself, you're already having this, depending on what type of person you are, I'm going to reach that goal. Or you'll be like, I shouldn't have did that to myself. Like, I'm just going to, whatever happens, but I'm going to be protective and conscious about it, my decisions. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if you just be more conscious and more acceptable of whatever decision you make, you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to be celibate you're just using the word. I think that's just words, to be honest with you. I think you're just calling yourself celibate. You just say you're celibate, and then you don't have sex for a week or 2 weeks or more, maybe in a month. And then you just come to that epiphany and be like, I want to be a little whatever right now. I want to have a little casual sexual encounter.
Right.
But going into that encounter, you have to know
what you're doing.
Exactly.
Be very aware and mindful of what you're doing.
It doesn't matter about the attraction. It doesn't matter about if they said the right thing or they have something to offer. You really just want to have this experience with that person because you know it's a pure intention between both parties. There is not going to be no confusion after this decision about anything. and that's something that you talk about. And when as soon as y'all get that inner and overstanding, that's it. That ain't no freaking problem or nothing to begin with, ain't no default to begin with.
Yeah, I'm glad that you bring that up, because we put this bad rap on promiscuity, like having too much sex, and we think, oh, especially from like a spiritual, energetic perspective, like, oh, you're building soul ties with people, and every person you lay down with, you're still connected to in some kind of way. And to a degree, that's true, but I think we underestimate our own power sometimes. Sometimes we overestimate it, sometimes we underestimate it, right?
True.
And the way that the underestimating or the underestimation, whatever, the way that unfolds is like, we think like, okay, if I put myself in that position to where I'm building a soul tie with somebody through sex, then I can never break it. I would have to go to somebody outside of myself to help me break it, or I just have to live with that curse for the rest of my life. But no, if you have the power to make that covenant with somebody, you have the power to break it yourself. Just as you made it, you can break it. You have to just, you have to first be aware of that, and be aware of the fact that you are making an agreement, a contract, a covenant with somebody when you do lay with them. That's just the pure facts of it, regardless of how you look at it. That's essentially what's happening. Hi. I'm not even worried about us. So it's not about, it's mainly about making sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into, what's really happening, and then you find ways to basically not make it this thing where, oh, if I'm running around here, I'm connecting with all these different people and it's a toxic thing now. It doesn't have to be.
True. So I think that's really how I see it as well. Like, just being to make a connection with the right person or the right people, and then ain't nothing. It only goes up from there. Because you have people who really enjoy sex. Most of their life consists of sex because they're just a higher sexual being, you know what I mean? And they want to be expressive in that energy.
Do you think, I want you to finish your point, but do you think that it's really about them having a higher sexual energy, or if it's just like an anxiety thing, and then sex is just that, like what alcohol is to some people, or what food is to some people, or what love or whatever, like it's just an addiction basically at that point, feeding a need, that feeling an emotional need, and it's not even sexual at that point, it's now an emotional thing.
I feel like that's why I say intentions. The intent to do whatever you do can make it an addiction or something that's helpful for you. You know what I'm saying? Like working out is something helpful for you, but that don't mean just go in there and just kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do everything with a consideration and like, okay, I know my limit. You know what I mean? I have had enough, so I'm gonna refrain a little bit. You have to let your muscles heal correctly. You get cut, it has to heal. So that's the only thing it is. Do that what you're doing. Okay, it's been about 2 weeks I've been having like constant sex, and it's been with all some good partners, and we all communicate very well. You know what I mean? So after that, you just be like, okay, now I can take 3 weeks off and see how I refrain and remain as myself, and then the next 3 weeks you go back at it. It's just a balance in anything that you do.
A flow, because it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. It might be months on, and then you're finally like, okay, I've been giving my energy out a lot lately. Let me
keep it to myself for now.
Let me save some of that for myself. And
doing that balance, I think, keeps it afloat and keeps it healthy. But when you do it, when you feel like you don't fell off and do it too less, now you feel like, I really feel like it's on the individual. The individual has to know what he has going on or she has going on with themselves in order to turn it or refrain from addiction, in order to make it beneficial or feel like they're using themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's all on the individual. So this is to help all of us individually know what we're getting into and be okay with what you're getting to. Feel great about it. Feel great about sitting back to yourself and taking that time. Feel great about what you're doing and know who you're doing it with, and that is it. That is all that it is.
So if then, because from what I got from what you just said was, if it's all in your what you think about it, what your mind says, your mind basically follows what your body basically follows what your mind says. So if your mind says this is something good for us, we're, every time you think about your sexual activity, whether you're celibate or whether you're having a lot of sex, whenever you think about it, the thoughts that you have, your body responds to that, right? So if we can control our sexual stuff, our sexual addictions or lack thereof with our minds, then what else can we control with our minds? That's kind of going a little bit off the topic, but okay. What else would we be able to control, do you think? Or do you think it stops at just the mind? At just sex? Do you think, like, okay, if we look at sex as just an addiction, then couldn't, like, alcoholism and when people are addicted to crack, couldn't we overcome or defeat or control or balance those things?
Of course. I ain't gonna lie,
in the same manner?
Of course we can, because it's, like you say, it's all the same thing. Just depending on the individual, what they indulge in more or less, you know what I mean? So like I say, the whole, like you said when we was talking, like the celibate and the proximity, the other thing, it's just like, it's a choice that you have to make. And just like I say, it ain't even like, like you said, everybody has their own thing. This even this whole conversation, or in those topics, going to make them think about their own thing and use this as a visualization and as a guide, you know what I mean? So I'm not telling you to think about it too much or think about it too less. I'm telling you to live it.
Be aware.
And be aware. That's it. Live and be aware. And things like this help us all live it and be aware. That is it. But of course we can overcome a lot of different things by being aware.
Yeah. And by also being mindful of the fact that what we think is the only thing that matters. Like what you think is the only thing that matters to you, and what I think is the only, like, I know it's
to agree to disagree type of thing, almost.
Yeah, kind of. Like, other people can have their opinions about your behavior and what you're doing, but at the end of the day, you gotta sleep next to unless you got a wife or whoever, or a husband, you gotta answer to them, depending. But we're not gonna get into that whole thing. But at the end of the day, if you're a single person, you gotta answer to yourself at the end of the day.
That's true.
And on Judgment Day, if you're a Bible person, the way that I interpret that part, Judgment Day is you facing yourself. If God's at the gate and you believe that you're God, you're facing yourself on Judgment Day. So can you look yourself in the face and be like, okay, I can accept that I did that. I can, all these things, when they lay out the whole list of all the stuff you did, you got to be able to look at every single one and be like, well, that was me.
Right.
I did it. I did it because of XYZ, and it's fine. I accept it. I'm cool with it. I'm at peace with it. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Right.
Other people are going to bring in their stuff. They're going to bring in their judgment. But that's all based off of them. You can't, like, it hurts, yes. And we're built in a society where we're taught to care about that stuff. But it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's not their life. It's yours. So you have to be okay with what you're doing. And if you're okay with it, what everybody else thinks, you can take it into consideration if you want. But again, it's your choice.
Right.
It's if you want.
Right. Sorry about that. So, I feel you on that, love. So I feel like you bring a valid point on that. So just everybody taking that into context. Just live and be okay with what you're doing, and if you feel like it's hurting you, don't do it. You know what I mean? Give it up. You know what I mean? Try a different method. You know what I mean? But if this method works for you, just do what's best for you and the people who you're around and who you're dealing with. You know?
Yeah, and understand you don't have to stay stuck in one or the other. It's all again based on how you feel. If you feel like celibacy is the thing for you, then you do it. But also understand, in order to achieve balance, you have to. Not have to, but it's necessary, you know? You can't be celibate for 15 years and, you know.
Right. That's crazy. But some people be doing that, like I submit, people, they be doing it for like 2 years.
It's not balanced. The 2 years, I mean, it's fine, whatever. Everybody takes, you know what, I'm not even going to say that, because even the people that do it for 15 years, maybe they spent 15 years doing the opposite. Who knows? So I'm not even gonna say that.
It all depends on the individual. That individual can be taking 15 years and feel like that's the best thing they ever did for themselves. You feel what I'm saying?
That's true.
And some people can take them 15 years and go and have a lot of experiences and be like, that's the best thing they ever did. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to know the pros and cons of your thing and just be okay with the pros and the cons. Be okay
honest
with both
with
of them.
yourself.
Yeah.
Know what your balance, your personal balance is.
Mhm.
It's not going to be the same as the person sitting next to you. It's not going to be the same as your family, anybody. It's your personal balance.
Right.
And you got to be, understanding that truth.
You're right about that. So did you think that really hits everything on the nail, on the top of the head?
Yeah, we wanted to talk about, the whole purpose was to talk about celibacy versus promiscuity, the balance between the two. And I think we pretty much hit on everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Want to do takeaways? Like, what was your takeaway from the whole conversation?
My takeaway from the whole conversation would be, like I say, just enjoy the decision that you're making right now. And if you feel like you're not, then just change it. You know what I mean? Be more open and be more truthful to yourself and to your whole experience. Whoever comes in your encounter, just deal with it the way you need to. Not the way that you think they and whoever, do the way that you really want to deal with it right there. Ask yourself and ask whoever is in front of you, do you love yourself? Do you love me? And just sit. Celibacy, talking to yourself. Encounter, you're talking to the other party. So that's what I take away from that. Just be truthful in everything you do, and just live through that. No matter who says it is wrong or right, just live that. That's your truth. That's what I take away. What about you?
Awesome. Yeah, you pretty much said all the things. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I guess if I were to leave a personal takeaway, I think I can sum it all up by just saying, live your truth, whatever that might be, and don't box yourself in by listening to by the opinions of those who box themselves in. And there's no way to ever know whether a person is boxing themselves in. So just as an air of caution, we just listen to ourselves. And other people's experiences are just supposed to be used to assess make the best decision for ourselves. Like you take that information in, okay, that's one way that it could go, all right. Then you take something over here, okay, so that's another way it could go, okay. Let me see how I can make it work for me or how I can make it go, right? Because you're looking at all of these different ways. That's the whole purpose of other people's experience. It's not to compare yourself. All right, guys? So, that being said, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time with the next Versus episode. I am Rashida. Chi is free on Instagram. CHI_is free. And
I am Astro Soul. You know what I mean? The King. 95 to infinity, you know what I mean? Catch me on Instagram at AstroSoul95. Thank y'all, I love y'all. That's what we do.
All right, cool. Bye-bye.
Peace.